Hello comic fans, here's Al Grey, and this is the penultimate stack of my favorite comics from this year, 2021. Obviously with the ranks from 20 to 11. Let's start with rank 20, and this is, if I've counted correctly, my third book out of the Mignolaverse in my list, Hellboy and the BPRD 1952 to 1954. Put out, as always, by Dark Horse, and good binding and very well made book. This collects stories that are set in the very early Hellboy years, when he went out for the first time into a mission with the BPRD. And so all these stories here have in common that they share this sense of adventure and enjoyment out there, as far as you can have fun and enjoyment with monsters and Nazis. And as far as I've go, at least with monsters, I can have pull out a lot of enjoyment for myself with these stories here. Especially when it's delivered by this great art here by Alex Maleev, and I wanted to put out a short story. Even if it's a short story, it is by Richard Corbin here. And look at that. I mean, this is pretty fantastic. This book collects stories and runs from other very talented creators and cartoonists like Ben Stenbeck and so on. But I wanted to point out another one, and this is Paulo Rivera, who did this Norman Rockwell homage cover and some other pretty interesting, highly detailed and for Hellboy unusual art. And he did his very own spin on how to portray Hellboy, up to stuff like this here, and he really gets his monsters right and all the fight scenes and stuff. So, yeah, Paulo Rivera, one other fantastic artist working in the Mignolaverse. Continuing with monsters, but changing our focus quite a bit back here to Germany, because the creators, Thomas von Command, the artist, and Benjamin von Eckartsberg, they concluded their long-lasting epos Gung Ho with Volume 5, this book here, this year, 2021. And I spoke with them in an interview about what does it meant to them to have finished this piece here, and especially about Thomas von Command's very own work of working with computer-aided designs and colors, because he eliminated the lines and works just with shapes and spaces, as you can see here. Highly recommended to check out the English version of Ablaze, even though, I really don't understand their MO, I have to say, because they really have shrunken down this art here to comic book size format. So I guess it's no wonder that this book here, this series, shamingly went under the radar in America. I haven't seen many reviews, if at all, about the series here, and it would deserve much more praise and focus. But actually, since I haven't seen the shrunken down versions by Ablaze, I really can't tell you if I would recommend it, because my guessing would be that a lot of the details and so on they would vanish in a smaller format. But over here, and in France, they produced even bigger formatted stuff right now, so you can enjoy this on a bigger scale. If the artwork here looks familiar to you, the same creative team had contributed to the Batman World anthology recently. Now to one of these books that are just, so far just French and maybe Spanish and German for sure, only not English. A book by Sebastian Gotthal's The Time of the Wild, the Savage Ones. And this is a lot of stuff. For the most part, it's a political satire, of course, put out by Splitter. This is a story that is set in a very close future in which the corporations and big business outfits have even more power. The global players, if you will, have even more power than they have today. So they can set the rules. Like, for instance, you don't have to have a love affair at your working place. So this cashier woman here is fired after decades of working busily for her corporation just because she had a little love affair with one of her co-workers, and she dies afterwards because there's a struggle and so on. And she left these sons of her behind, and they're mutated beings. You can buy now in this close future genes to alter yourself, but they're wolves, and so they're some kind of genetic made werewolves, and they are out on a hunt to revenge her mother. And this is a fantastic, story-wise, a fantastic, satire is even too less to say. It's a very bitter commentary on the direction our world right now steers into, and so the cover alone is genius in summarizing the aim of the story. Fantastic stuff. The art by Sebastian Gotthal's, the writer and cartoonist here, is serviceable, very well done, but not the reason why you should check out this book here. Now to rank 17, and this is Simon Henselmann's Crisis Zone, published by Fantagraphics. And yeah, this is a collection of his webcomics that he published during the COVID crisis, which is still going on and puts obviously a lot of people under even more pressure and puts them into a crisis if they were already in abusive and dysfunctional relationships before. And this story here is all about dysfunctional and abusive relationships between all these seemingly funny and nice looking characters, but as you can see, they do lots of horrible stuff to each other, and this is really not appropriate for younger ones because of the violence and even the sex stuff here is so out of everything that you're used to about porn. One of the characters, of course, Werewolf Jones, has to put on the internet to get fetch some money and so on. It's hilarious, and you're always laughing below your level of niveau, if you understand what I mean. But can't help myself, I really find this just very enjoyable. Now to a totally different kind of stuff, a Jean Van Hamme story without Jean Van Hamme, because the artist Philippe Aymon took over the writing duties as well, and this is a good cover here, I feel, and it represents what a tough lady our title character here actually is. As you can see in the very first album, there's a lot of talking going on because Philippe Aymon has to figure out all the open threads lying around and left by Jean Van Hamme to continue the saga with all these twists and turns of her pretty realistic yet convoluted biography. And so it's a hard-boiled story with a very tough lady, with lots of explosion, and set in a realistic background. We have, she visits Guantanamo of all places, for instance. So that's pretty difficult as a setting for a comic, I guess, but it's pretty rewarding. And there's the CIA and lots of real and made-up secret agencies, fighting it out on the back of this lady. But she has a strong back, and I'm very curious how the series will continue. Very glad about that. Talking about being glad, or rather thankful, I'm very thankful for Ninth Art to recommending and showing us the beautiful art books by Daniel Maga. This is how you write the editions, Daniel Maga. It's a gallery in Paris who puts out seemingly lots of art exhibitions devoted to cartoonists, and you should check out their website, Daniel Maga. You will find it easily. Lots of gorgeous stuff to just drool about. And this is their last publication devoted to Kosei and his drawings. I mean, you should know that Kosei is one of my all-time greats in terms of European cartoonists, and this is I guess facsimile reprint of lots of his watercolors, simply but majestic, like this mountain here, mountain view, printed on lush, wonderful paper, and you can really think that these pencil lines here are really made the real pencils, so that you have the originals in your hands. It's a bit of a diary of his travels around the world, and when you know Kosei's stories, you know that he has a knack for and a fable for Asia and stories that are told there. So I really wanted to do a video devoted to these tomes, because this is not the only one that I got from Daniel Maga. Maybe the most beautiful one is the one about Maurice Tillieu. So stay tuned. This will be one of the early the videos that I will do the first in the new year. On rank 14, and I couldn't help myself, I just had to put this book here in my list, even though if it's not a new comic at all, but of course the format here is new. So Splitter, again, put out this huge book in the so-called diamond format, and it's way bigger than the European album format. And yeah, what can I tell you? I mean, you get these Don Lawrence comics for a good part because of the art by Don Lawrence, and this art shines just in an incredible way in this huge format. So it's just a wonderful package there. On rank 13, we have new stuff by Herman Duke, Volume 5, published by, over here, at least, by the little publisher Erco, which still can't his covers as exciting as the interiors are, because we have wonderful Herman stuff here, colored by himself, of course. Hard-boiled Western, very realistic, absolutely not sentimental kitsch like you have with other Western comics. I mean, I like Western kitsch, to be honest with you, but this brutal, honest and raw stuff is something else, story-wise and on top of it, art-wise as well, because Herman, always one of my favorites. The series is still ongoing, so maybe one day if he concludes the stuff here, it will rank even higher in one of my lists. Concluded for now, I think maybe I got the impression that Robert Crumb will doodle even inside of his coffin still. But yeah, for now, the last collected edition of his sketches done by Taschen in this fantastic format here. I did a video about the Robert Crumb sketchbooks before. This is just highly enjoyable stuff, and I feel the diversity of stuff that he is interested in has increased over the years. So this is autobiographic stuff, of course, like always, but it's not so focused on his main themes like some of the early ones. And yeah, I really cherish this collection. And I'm very glad that I could get all of these 6 volumes. So, yeah, check out Robert Crumb's sketchbook by Taschen all over the world. On rank 11, and the last book for today's video, is Die Altenecker. And this is actually translated into English. There's a version called The Old Geezers, put out by Ablaze again. And yeah, seemingly went totally under the radar over the pond as well, and like Gung Ho. But maybe this works better than Gung Ho, even though this is highly detailed scene. But overall, you have a very clean cartoon style that may work on doesn't work in a smaller format. I haven't seen a comic book format Old Geezers comic, so I can't really tell you. But it's just fun stuff around this group of old geezers, and just this hilarious open scene here with one of them having to fight out to put out some pee. Obviously he has some prostate problems or whatever, and these automatic lights here that are activated by moving something moving annoy the hell out of him until he decides to crash the thing. Have you ever seen a first page in a comic like this one? They're politically engaged, and they have really their opinions about nearly everything, and mostly they're right just about our world. And we will hope that these these old geezers will continue the good health and long life to them, because I will really read more of these old geezers, even though I would recommend to check out the first Old Geezers comic for sure, because there's a red thread through these comics. I mean, you can enjoy this one here totally on its own because it's self-concluded, but my recommendation, check out the very first books of the Old Geezers at first, and they're really fantastic books. If you don't like them, you won't like this anyways, but I don't know why you shouldn't. So now just only one video to go, and then I can put all these books again onto their several places on my shelves here, and getting prepared for Christmas. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.